As a big fan of the Fallout games, the threat of nuclear annihilation and its after effects constantly exist in various parts of my brain. Visiting Hiroshima was something I had been preparing myself to do for a long time leading up to this trip. By listening to a ton of podcasts, watching a ton of documentaries and movies, most of which will be linked in the description, as well as doing a ton of reading as what happened here at 8:15 on August 6, 1945, I felt that I was overprepared for my experience. Much like every basic person on dating apps with true crime, I went down the rabbit hole of nuclear Armageddon. Upon arriving in the park, one of the first things I did was went to the Bell of Peace, which when rung symbolizes they hope for peace all around the world. Here's a video of me attempting, but fucking up, the ringing of the bell, so maybe all the bad things in the world might be my fault because I didn't do it properly. Who's to say? Like a lot of things involving war, the dropping of the bomb on Hiroshima is a complex issue. On one hand, you can make an argument that the atomic bombings of both Hiroshima and Nagasaki weren't even in the top 5 worst things to happen in World War II, nor were they even the worst things to happen to Japan, with the firebombing of Tokyo being equally as bad, if not worse, in the immediate sense. Or if you believe in the concept of karma, you could say that it was the universe punishing imperialist Japan for Nanking and Unit 731, neither of which are widely taught, let alone actually recognized in Japan to this day. And there are countless debates about how a theoretical land invasion of Japan would have gone, with an argument to be made that the bombs saved more lives than they negatively impacted. But then on the other hand, reading John Hershey's writings on the victims of Hiroshima, watching documentaries about the immediate and long-term aftermath of the bombs, and listening to the horrific accounts from people who lived through it, makes it seem like the people who were vaporized instantly, leaving only a shadow forever burned into their surroundings, might have been the lucky ones. Do I agree with the dropping of the bombs? After listening to the podcast linked below and watching films such as Barefoot Gen, Oppenheimer, or the documentaries also linked below, it's incredibly difficult to say. But it's equally difficult to say what would have happened if the bombs hadn't been used. No matter which side of that debate you may fall on, it's worth remembering the victims of the bombings, because even though Hiroshima did have some military installations in it, the vast majority of them were civilians going about their lives. Most of them were heading off to work, walking to the store, or just waking up to get their day started. Then in a literal flash, tens of thousands of lives were gone, with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives spanning multiple generations, being irreparably damaged. As Americans, we don't have to imagine what it was like for the people of Hiroshima. For almost the entirety of the past century, Americans in every city have woken up and gone to work, or were just getting their day started, or were enjoying their day, while also being minutes from a military installation and multiple production facilities where munitions, armaments, vehicles, and technological components for the military are made on a daily basis. It's nearly impossible to comprehend what truly happened here on that day, or in the decades after, but one thing that is completely comprehensible is that in spite of the devastation, Hiroshima was rebuilt. It has since survived and thrived on its way to becoming one of the most breathtaking cities on Earth. The exact spot where the bomb detonated is tucked away on a side street. If you want to grasp how Hiroshima has recovered and thrived ever since, this spot right here is next to a Pilates studio and not too far from a 7-Eleven. Enjoying my ice cream on a gorgeous day in the exact spot where one of the most tragic singular events in human history happened was nothing short of surreal. As a fan of the Civilization games, there is something darkly humorous about having a statue of Gandhi in Hiroshima. Now, if there's one thing that can help get the taste of war crimes and human atrocities out of the mouth, it's some good old-fashioned pizza. Parco della Pace was my choice for the day, where I got a pizza with mozzarella, ham, and a sunny-side-up egg that was spread out over the top of the pizza. Fun fact, chickens in Japan are vaccinated against salmonella, so you can eat undercooked and even raw eggs without ill effects. It's almost like vaccines might be useful or something. Weird. I was also handed this card of helpful Japanese phrases, cause watashi no nihongo wa de wa arimasen. Still not recovered from my day at the Peace Park, I got a little homesick and began missing my perfect three-legged angel. So I went to visit some of her Japanese cousins at one of the many cat cafes in Japan. If you want to know why they encourage you to use a wooden spoon to give the cats treats, this should be a pretty good example as to why. After I ran out of treats, causing the kitties to completely stop giving any fucks about me, I decided it was time to move on. I headed over to once again enjoy some Coco Ichibanya before heading back to the hotel to get ready for the final leg of my trip in Japan. Matane.